Guys, welcome to the podcast. This is going to be our teaser that we are going to do before the first full episode. This is going to be just to kind of introduce ourselves and tell you a little bit about why we wanted to do this podcast and what the podcast is going to look like for the future. So I'll start off. My name's Shane Langley. Work here at Kelly Engineering and been here about 8 years. Me and Travis have been working together that whole time. So should be an interesting dynamic between the two of us. We get at each other pretty good here sometimes, but usually have a fun time talking to each other either way. So I'll let Travis introduce himself.
Yeah, my name's Travis Middleton. Like Shane said, I've been at Kelly probably 8 years. It's hard to believe it's been that fast. It's really taken off. Our goal is to be entertaining, which we usually are amongst ourselves. We find ourselves funny. So hopefully the rest of you will too. The main goal of the podcast for me is just I always like diving deep into people like history. I like older people and just finding out how they got to where they did. And hopefully it was fun for them and seeing how I can use that to learn for myself and pass on to other people.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the main reasons that I wanted to do the podcast for sure is we talk so often about success and like what we do good, what we do bad, things we could change. And I mean, we both talk about stuff that we do good and we do bad and try to, help each other out. And like you said, we just like hearing people's stories. I mean,
Yes.
I feel like if you're a customer or a vendor or anything that comes in here and you're seeing our shop, we're trying to find out about you as well. Not just in the business side of things, but just as a person, like, what do you like? What are your hobbies? Just have a conversation with people, not trying to sell somebody on something. Like, we really want to connect with people. That was my whole point of doing this and hearing their story. So this is kind of to release the name as well. So the name of the podcast is going to be Both Sides of Success. I feel like that kind of leaves it open to discussion on either side, home, business, what that means to you, what it means to us. And we're going to have some pretty good guests. I mean, we sent out some of the guest list, Wednesday of this week. And I think we're going to have some really exciting episodes on here.
I think so. The goal is for other people to understand that people go through daily struggles, but also that can be a success story. Just surviving life sometimes is successful.
Yeah.
Just getting through it. So again, it's just to share what people think of life and how they got through things. And as you get older or you get more experience in life and your job, how you can turn a downfall into success.
Yes, absolutely. And part of the podcast will be getting into manufacturing. I mean, that's where mine and Travis both, that's our background. That's what we have a passion for. That's what we love. But we obviously also don't want to just focus on that. I mean, I feel like we watch podcasts, listen to podcasts, and some of them are based around manufacturing. There's a few that when we were talking about doing this, ones that I listen to that I like that are involved in manufacturing. But I feel like sometimes, and I've been on a few, we've been on one together, and a lot of them you don't find out about the person. You just find out about the business that they work at or
Correct.
the industry that they're in.
Correct. What they do and their process, or, you don't hear the stories for how they help people or how they had this success. And sometimes people don't like to give their self credit. It's about the company, but we want to find out about the person too and share that. So, we've been on podcasts before, and the questions were kind of just in order, and we just fired them off, answers of what we thought. And we did talk about our company. We love Kelly Engineering, and other people love their companies too. And it's going to be a place where people can advertise their company.
Absolutely.
But I think it's also a place where they can talk about themselves a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
a lot
Promote
of times,
yourself.
Yeah, a lot of times in this business, you don't get to promote yourself, and it's exciting to get to promote yourself. So
yeah, and I feel like sometimes when we've been on ones where it's like you have this structured set of questions, that's good. And I mean, I just don't think either one of us are like that.
No,
we like more of an open flow. I mean, planning this little teaser trailer here, I mean, we talked for what, 5 minutes, like, hey, what do we want to touch base on? And then let's start recording.
Let's start going at it.
Right.
And me and Shane don't have a problem promoting ourselves. We
No.
never had. So that's why we're here.
Exactly. One of the things that we're going to do on the podcast is, obviously, when we have guests on, we're going to want to ask them, a few certain questions about themselves or what they do. But we're also going to try to have people bring a quote with them. That's something that me and you both really like, those quotes that relate to our day to day. And, we have leadership meetings every Friday. And I feel like at some point, me or you bring up a quote that we just feel like fits for that week.
Yes.
Or what we're going through.
I think I like quotes because it's people can look into it 10 different ways.
Yes.
A lot of times, I'm the type person, I always go, were they talking about me?
Right.
Was that quote for me? And if it hits home, it means it's something you might need to work on.
Right.
But quotes are very important, and it's a way to communicate what your expectations are through somebody else that lived its words. And that's kind of what the podcast needs to be too.
Yes.
We want to gain knowledge through somebody else's experience. And that's what a quote does.
Yeah. So, I mean, I thought, we were trying to figure out, like, what's the one or two things that we really want to have a guest, make sure we get something from them, something that they can talk about. And that was one of them. So, I mean, I said before this, like, we should go ahead and do a quote for each of us. And
Yes.
The one that I picked out was one that we talked about, I think, for the last 2 or 3 weeks, because we're going through hiring process right now and bringing guys in. And this one has came up a bunch, even for guys that, currently work here or guys that we're bringing on. And that quote is, you can outperform 50% of people just by showing up with a good attitude. The next 40%, you can outsmart or you can outwork, one or the other. And then the last 10% is how you handle struggles, stress, and adversity. And once we heard that quote, I think we were all like, that is 100% true, because we're hiring for that first 50% because we don't know about the other 50.
Yes. So when somebody comes in front of you, that's great that they try to put their life on paper for their resume and, in a short description of who they are, what they are. So during the interview process, it's up to us to pull that 50% out, because we don't know their skill level. We don't know their work ethic. We don't know their past. So the first 50% is showing up with a good attitude. And most people, you can tell in an interview if they have a good attitude.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think it relates to so much, not even just, manufacturing or business or work. Like, you could relate it to almost everything. Even when you think about podcasts, like this first episode and second and third, probably not going to be the most professional. I mean,
No.
The setup we have right now is not our podcast studio. That's, coming soon. This is just kind of thrown together, and this is our first time doing it, ourselves. We've got to figure out the recording. We got to figure out the camera. We're going to show up with a good attitude every single time.
I'm going to try to.
We're going to try to show up with a good attitude. No matter what's going on, outside of work or at work, like, I feel like you can always find a way to just have a good attitude. I mean, getting down about something that's just, what's the point in
this
that?
Work should be an escape for all that kind of stuff. Like, you can still come in here with a good attitude, shut all that down till you leave. I know it's very hard. And then we talked about it. The part that I like getting into is the 10%. So, it's a little bit like the 80-20 rule, but like the 10% is where you've seen people. A lot of times you can work with somebody 3 years and you've never seen them in that 10%. And the minute they're in that 10% situation, you can say, ooh, I've never seen them act that way. Or, whoa.
Yeah.
They showed me something special.
Yeah, and I mean, it's fun to watch, somebody that you've been working, with a long time, like, to see them flourish and finally figure out, like, that last 10%. And a lot of it just comes with experience, like, just going through it. I mean, nobody's going to be able to handle stress of, like, being in a new position week one. Like, you're going to have to work through those initial issues that you run into.
Yes, there's always going to be a stressful situation in manufacturing. We say that all the time. Welcome to manufacturing.
Yep. Now, you send out a weekly email to everybody in the shop, and you started out with a quote every single week in your email.
Every single week, I start out with a quote in my email. I love it. People tell me, I've had people, ooh, I really like that quote. It relates for what happened the week before or what's going on this
Yeah, I
week.
feel like that's like something you look forward to, is like
Yeah,
picking out that
I
quote
do.
for the
I
email.
think about it over the weekend and I research it a little bit. But my quote that I like, this a recent one I did, not this week's, but I just want to read it so we make sure it's correct. And I'm kind of a history buff, so mine a lot of times always links to somebody that was a president or was in manufacturing. So this one this week, or not this week, but the one that I got the most response is to reach a port, we must sail, not tie at anchor, sail, not drift, by Franklin D. Roosevelt. So basically what that means is, for me, how I relate that to manufacturing is you got to be moving forward.
Right.
And
Yeah.
if you're not, I mean, we find it with people that we deal with on a daily basis, not people that work here, customers, vendors. A lot of times they're not selling, they're not manufacturing, they're not.
Right.
They're anchored or they're at drift.
Yeah, yeah, got to keep moving. I mean, we try to make sure that we do that on a daily basis here. I mean, and that can be innovation, that can be moving past issues that we've had. You know, just finding a way to just keep working through it every single day and just find a way to finish. You know.
Yes, that can work in life too. You cannot let the bad things get you down, and it hold you down and anchor you to
Right.
not hitting your life goals or work goals. We've all dealt with adversity in our life, I'm sure, but it's very important that you get up the next day. It's okay to anchor up to make repairs. That's your mental health. But then you got to get up the next day and put that sail up and move forward.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So, if you could pick, you know, one or two things, if you're trying to, you know, get somebody to listen to this podcast, or you're, you know, talking to somebody and they're like, "Hey, why should I listen to it?" What's one or two things that you feel personally you're going to want people to take away from this podcast, or you're going to want them to hear on here?
Me?
Yeah.
I would like to hear somebody else's success story that people just, when you ride around Greenville and you see the fancy cars, the big houses, this is Anderson too. I've never had a problem with seeing that because I know how hard you have to work to get to that success. And it's good for everybody to see that people have dealt with adversity. And just like I said with sailing, they got up every morning and put that sail up. We know people, again, from podcasts, from TV shows, news, that has lost everything. And then you see them 10 years later and it's like it wasn't even a bump in the road. That's what I want to find out.
100% agree. I mean, that's right along the lines of what I was going to say, is just hearing about that struggle, their story, how they got started, what motivated them. You know, what motivated that person. It's not everybody is, you know, about money.
No.
I mean, some people are, some people it's about title, some people it's about, you know, work-life balance, some people it's about just, you know, being comfortable where they're at. So hearing what drives somebody and what kept them going when it did get rough, that's, you know, that's what I want to hear. And I mean, there's two or three people on this guest list that I can't wait to just hear, you know, wait to hear exactly how they got to where they're at, and like certain aspects of their life, what was the hardest, or, you know, we talked about like at what point did you feel was a turning point for you? That was another thing that we discussed, you know, making sure that we got out of people was, where did you feel like you finally turned a corner, or where was somewhere where you felt like you just got knocked down and you weren't going to be able to, you know, keep moving forward or keep going on. So 100% agree with you there.
Right. And maybe the people out there can help us with other questions. We want to repeat. We want to have like 3 questions. We want to keep it to 3 to 5 as the most, but repeat every time we have a guest on. And one of those will be the quote. We picked out the quote together. We want to hear a quote that defines them
Yes.
as a person to share with us, so we can dive deep into them and ask the questions. But what other at least 2 questions do people want to hear from us to ask? And one of them might be, and I was just thinking of this, and this will be good. What does success mean to you? It's like you said, it might not be about money.
Right.
Some people just work hard and do different things, and that's where I want to find they wake up successful.
Right, right. So we talked about it. We're going to have guests on. That's going to be obvious. We're going to try to do, an episode every week if we can. And we're going to have a guest on every other week is the plan right now. And then in between those is going to be me and Travis sitting here doing shop talk as we call it. And it could be talking about a previous guest, maybe giving a sneak preview of the guest that's going to be on the next
Right.
week, or us just sitting here and talking like we are right now. I
Right.
mean, I feel like we do that all the time, and now we're just recording it instead.
Correct.
You know?
It'll get better, I promise. We'll get used to the microphones
Yep.
a little bit. It's a little different for us right now. But one of the things I would like to share is what obstacles we ran into for the week, and without sharing names or vendors, but just situational awareness. What happened? How could we have done that better? Listening to the people get back to us about how they would have handled it or what they would have done different. But the purpose of the podcast is to be entertaining. I hope we are, and just to share some funny stories, and we got a lot of them.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like every day there's something that is either funny or it's an issue, putting out fires, as you say. I mean, there's one every single day. I feel like when I get here, there's already a fire.
Just one?
No,
just one,
multiple.
just one for the day. Yeah.
Multiple. But yeah, I mean, I feel like every morning I walk in here and I'm like, what we got going on already today?
Yeah. And some stuff we can relate to is I see on LinkedIn there is a ton of different people operational. I would like to know, I mean, again, how operations work in different aspects other than manufacturing. So we talked about healthcare, we talked about aviation, airports, all that. I watch it all the time. It is relatable outside of manufacturing. And for Shane, it's sales and
I feel like everybody does everything differently. So you're not gonna be VP of operations the same way somebody else is, and somebody's gonna do director of sales differently than how I do it. So I feel like seeing those different angles and how everybody handles it differently is going to be the interesting part as well. And I'm hoping that we can learn as well. Like, I hope we can sit there the following week and say, man, I mean, he said this or
Yes.
she said that, and just really be able to say that we learned something or we got something from that podcast that we can then insert into our own life or our own business.
correct. Just to learn.
Right.
It's ongoing education.
Right. So I mean, I guess we're talking about this being both sides of success, and having people on and everything, and I think we just jump right into it and just kind of tell like what kind of drives each of us and what we think success is. We've talked about it with each other before, but maybe just give people an idea of kind of where we stand on what success looks like.
Yeah. Just off the top of my head, what I think success is, you've heard me say this before, is passing on and watching somebody grow. And I get to do that every day, and I do. I'm very lucky to get to do that, to watch it, because I am a hands-on kind of person and not a thumb-on-head kind of person.
Right.
But I get to watch people grow, and I get to watch them smile, and I get to watch things just happen.
Right.
So
I would say the biggest thing in success for me is really just the reason that I started the podcast is, connection. I mean, getting to know people, asking them questions, finding out their story. Like, I love that. And then obviously, I mean, we talk about it all the time, family for me. I mean, kids, wife, that's my world. That's what I'm about, So that's how I view my success is, how they view me,
right.
being the best dad, being the best husband. Like, that's how I view success. And again, everybody's different. That's what drives me. So, being able to go home and, wife, son, daughter, be proud of me, that's what pushes me towards success. That's what we said. Like, for some people it is money. For some people it's not. It's other stuff. It could be the nice car. It could be the nice house. It could be, impressing somebody. It could just be what me and you talk about, not wanting to fail. Like, just being able to prove people wrong, not failing. That is also part of that success.
Yeah. For me too, that was something we talk about a lot. I like proving people wrong
Yes.
and not failing. And what is I mean, again, let's describe what failure is. Even if somebody else that sees it as a failure, it can still be a success because, and I talked to this about, we'll go over this in one of our podcasts, the 10 things that I talk
Yep.
about people about when they come on board here. But one of the 10 things, we want to talk about what success is. What is it to you? I'm off topic. You'll have to edit this out.
We can edit that out easy. That one's easy.
But, but the success part, when I talk to somebody, it's very important that they understand that we want them to be successful and we want to see both sides of success for them, not just at work, but outside of work. And what does that look like? So it's, people say work-life balance. That's different for other people. I've told you before, I've always put work. I was a workaholic before I come here. And, I've told y'all before, you and Matt, our CEO, which you'll meet on one of our podcasts, is that I will never question anybody leaving when it comes to their kids or family. Try not to. I mean, we can't take advantage of the situation.
Right.
But that's a lot of things that I see with companies that have a lot of turnover. People will put up with a lot more if you make sure that you want them to be successful outside of the workplace.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be able to show them that you care and they're not just a number on a piece of paper. Like,
correct.
We've talked about it. I've worked at big corporations, and that's literally all you are. I mean, you go to, you've got a number to call into when you want to call out or whatever, and that's just not how it is here. But also, like you talked about us not wanting to fail and proving people wrong. Like, we do fail. I mean, I fail every single day, but that's where we learn.
You do. I'm just kidding. No, we all fail, but that's another thing I'm getting into. What is success to you?
Exactly.
Like, if you're going to leave with a mindset of, I was successful. We walked out to the car. I finished something today, and I taught somebody something. So
yeah, and I feel like I've heard you talking about that to guys on the floor here recently. Is just like, hey, when you leave at the end of the day, you just got to find something where you felt like it was a success at the end of the day.
Yes,
You just got to find a way to do that.
And the starting the new day, and this gets a little hard for people. I told them this: you need to start your day like you've researched the company, and it's your first day at work. So what happened the day before, any struggles or any of that stuff, you need to leave that at the door and come in fresh the next day. I'm not saying hit the reset button like you don't even remember what happened, but let's start over.
Right.
You've thought through stuff, let's start over. The day is new, and that keeps me fresh. If not, if you take that stuff home and come back with it the next day, you're not going to be successful.
100%. 100%. Well, I think that gives everybody a pretty good idea about what the podcast is going to be like.
Yeah.
Hopefully this one comes out good and everybody gets interested in it and looks forward to seeing who we have as our first guest. Hopefully we'll be announcing that in the next week or two. It'll be me and Travis until we get our podcast studio up and finished, which, fingers crossed, we're working on that here pretty close. We got all the materials in for it. Hopefully going up here soon. But yeah, hopefully we can have you guys tune in, give us a watch, give us a listen, and looking forward to connecting with everybody here on the next few episodes.